Okay, so one thing I was meaning to share last week, which actually I kind of missed because मैं actually उसका slide बनाया नहीं था. मैं बाद में सोचा था कि लिखेंगे उसको, but उसका कभी ऐड नहीं करा. तो I thought I'll discuss it today. Everybody, especially doing this class, अपने को ये समझना है कि this is not like a regular class जिसमें एक correct answer और एक wrong answer है. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता because the whole क्या बोल सकते हैं, the whole idea of creativity is to do self expression. How you look at this world, तुम्हारा perspective क्या है? And each one of us will have a different and unique perspective, right? So the idea is not to come to a single perspective, because if we do that कि अगर अपन सबका एक ही perspective हो गया about how to look at things, then we will not be creative. That will just defeat the purpose of doing any creative job. We need to have different perspectives, and if I and Jay are not क्या बोल सकते coming on a single conclusion about how to look at this thing, then that is not a bad thing. Actually, that's a really good thing, because that means we have a diverse perspective in our team. What we do need to do at the same time is understand and work towards one perspective for each brand. For example, if you're doing work for MVP, then I need to keep my perspective aside. Jay needs to keep his perspective aside. Tala needs to keep his perspective aside. Ibad needs to keep his perspective aside for a moment and think about what does this brand want to say and what is this brand's perspective. So when we are disagreeing and when we think that, okay, this is not what I have in mind, or I don't think this is going to work, I will not anytime tell you guys that you are wrong. Maybe you guys are right. Maybe you guys know something that I don't, and that is completely fine. But sometimes the brand identity takes the forefront. Sometimes the marketing, reaching the audience, reaching the right kind of person takes the forefront. Sometimes nothing takes the forefront. It's just simple sales, that we need to get this product sold, and that's our main priority, right? So each content piece has its own perspective, and we need to serve in that perspective, not in our perspective. You're getting my point? Makes sense?
Yes.
This is really important so that we work in a way where our brand voice becomes uniform in our design, in our editing, in our visuals. जो अपन last week बात कर रहे थे, right? So I think this part that you guys can see is more towards catered towards sales, the sales of video production, how the sales of video production happens. So we need to basically understand ki when we are talking about a good quality video, you can make that good quality video in a lot of different industries, right? The four main industries where video editing will always be in demand, or video editing or video production will always stay relevant, is these four. The first one being film and television, because it's an industry based on film and videos, right? So over there will always be a surplus of editors. Like, every time a new editor comes, his end goal is to eventually make a film, design for a movie, or to make a big game, because we have been inspired by those specific content pieces, by those specific creative pieces to do this thing. So film and television, while it is the most, what you can say, interesting, and while it is the most likable industry, it is also the one which is most saturated, and that will be the most toughest industry to crack. That is why it will be very difficult for us to get into this. And then there are courses and institutes which will always need e-learning is becoming a common thing. So uski wajah se video editing will become a big thing over there. News and journalism will also need a lot of video editing, needs a lot of video editing. And finally, FMCG, you can think FMCG ka full form hai fast moving consumer goods. So Maggi, tail, chips, all of this comes under fast moving consumer goods, right? So these industries, while they're really lucrative, they're really good, the problem with these industries is that they are really saturated. Every new editor will try to poach people from here, and that's why you will, even if you get into this, you will have to spend a lot of years just doing good work and building a portfolio before you can actually land a high paying reliable client in these industries, है ना? So that's the problem of these industries. If you go to the next slide, अच्छा मैं इसको present ही कर लेता हूँ. But if you go to these second industries where also video production will be required, but there is not a lot of, what you can say, supply. The first rule of economics: if the demand is high, and the supply is low, that's where you'll make more money. So finance, real estate, technology, B2B are places where, with video editing, with video production skills, you also need to understand a little about the industry itself. Like अगर फाइनेंस के बारे में तुम कुछ करना चाह रहे हो तो तुमको फाइनेंस की भी थोड़ी अंडरस्टैंडिंग रहना. रियल एस्टेट के बारे में कुछ करना चाह रहे तो रियल एस्टेट के बारे में भी थोड़ी अंडरस्टैंडिंग रहना. Similar with technology, similar with B2B. B2B means any business that is serving another business. Like for example, our business can be called a B2B, because we are making videos for different businesses, right? So B2B के अंदर बहुत कुछ आता, not just video production. Social media marketing comes under B2B, accounting, bookkeeping, that also comes under B2B. Any service business usually comes under B2B. So basically, my whole point of trying to show this is that just learning video editing will not make you a great video editor, because like we said in the last session, the messaging is really important. So if you want to really understand the messaging, you also need to know कि किस business perspective से तुम वो video बना रहे. तो we kept going back, like अपन बोले अपन वीडियो एडिटिंग कर रहे, वीडियो एडिटिंग में क्लिप्स कट कर रहे, अपन बी-रोल ऐड कर रहे, उससे एक स्टेप बैक गए, अपन समझे कि स्क्रिप्ट लिख रहे, अपन एक स्क्रिप्ट लिख रहे, एक मैसेज दे रहे, फिर उससे एक स्टेप पीछे चले गए, अपन एक बिजनेस फंक्शन है, वो बिजनेस फंक्शन कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं अपन. The more you keep going back, the more you start understanding ki, okay, why you are doing this, and the better understanding of the why you have, the better you will be able to approach. And even क्या बोल सकते हैं, अगर मैं कुछ गलत बोल रहा हूँ तुमको, the better you will be able to contradict my approach कि नहीं बॉस, अगर बिजनेस को ये कम्युनिकेट करना है तो मेरा मेथड ज्यादा बेटर है. How will you be able to tell anybody or pitch anybody that you are doing the right thing? By explaining him why your method is the right method, right? If you're working in a team and we want to take suggestions from everybody needs to have the right vocabulary so that they can pitch in their idea. This is another thing that you will understand, is that before you can execute on great ideas, like you might think, I have so many great ideas, but I never get to execute them. Like the team never allows me to execute them. This is a common issue in every creative team. तो इसका फिक्स यही है कि we become good at pitching our ideas, and the only way you'll get good at pitching your ideas is by understanding the business perspective of your idea, of your activity. है ना? क्लियर? आगे बढ़ो. मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये बिल्कुल किसी को भी समझ में नहीं आया. It's good. Did you understand? Okay, आगे बढ़ेंगे. ठीक है. So again, let's do a small activity. Okay, let's suppose there is a client, there is an imaginary client, or I am the client, and I have given each one of you the same brief, saying that I want you to edit a short podcast on the topic startup versus corporate. I have the raw footage. Okay, I want you to edit. All of you are editors here, and now what's our next step? I want to ask this to each and every one of you. Tala bhai,
Do you have a reference for the video?
do you have a reference? Yes, I have a reference. I'll share it with you.
How long is the raw footage that you have?
How long is the raw footage? The raw footage is, I would say, around about 1 to 1.5 hours.
Okay. And what would be the final video runtime that you would be looking at?
I would say 15 minutes.
Okay, awesome. Any flashy edits or infographics, animation? Would you require anything such as?
Any special requirements? No, none. I just wanted like a regular podcast video.
Okay, awesome.
Kala has learned his sales skills really well. But yeah, if you can see, there is a lot of questions you need to ask before starting the work on any video, because you need to understand the scope of work. अगर अपन scope of work नहीं समझेंगे और अपन कुछ भी edit कर दिए, 6 to 7 times out of 10, you will not do it according to how the client wants it. So understanding scope of work, like one thing that you ask, who is it intended to? That can be something like a goal. All of you in some words or the other are coming to this, but this is the right vocabulary. Again, first we need to understand what is the goal of the video, है ना? What's the duration of the raw footage? Because this will tell कि जितना footage है उस हिसाब से अपने को समझ में आएगा कि अपने को कितना टाइम लगेगा just to review the footage and timeline it. है ना? ये basic चीजें ऐसे रहते हैं कि if you can always calculate this, you'll always have a good estimate about how much time and how much effort you need to put to make that video. तुमको याद होगा कि तुम एक बार 10 मिनट वीडियो करने को कितना टाइम लगाए थे? क्या बोल सकते हैं, राउंड अबाउट एस्टिमेट होता ही रहता हमेशा. मे बी हो सकता कि अगर एक बार 12 घंटे लगे तो दूसरी बार 14 घंटे लगेंगे, बट इट्स नॉट लाइक एक 10 मिनट की वीडियो 2 घंटे में हो रही और एक 10 मिनट की वीडियो 20 घंटे में हो रही. इतना गैप नहीं रहता ना. सिमिलरली रेजोल्यूशन पूछना भी बहुत जरूरी है, बिकॉज तुम्हारा सिस्टम वो हैंडल कर सकता नहीं कर सकता, वो एक बड़ा चैलेंज हो जाता. स्टाइल रेफरेंसेस दैट यू गाइस मोस्टली आस्क्ड, राइट? ठीक है, अब अपने को स्कोप ऑफ वर्क मिल गया. वी ऑल नो द स्कोप ऑफ वर्क. व्हाट्स आवर फर्स्ट स्टेप नाउ?
Go through the footage completely.
Go through the footage है आपका. Okay.
Yeah.
Nash, what do you think? What is your first step when you make a design?
Whenever I take a work, I always ask for reference.
You always ask for references.
Yes.
Right? Parth, you can drop in a message. Jay, what is your first step in editing or designing or doing anything? Referencing. right? I think we all over here say referencing, right?
Yes.
The term I used is called research, but you can call it referencing also, right? So what you need to do is go and find out every single startup versus corporate video that is there on the internet, so that you can make something which is better than all of that. A good way to do research for videos is that you go to YouTube, you search for similar topics, and then you sort by view count. You do not search for whatever is coming first on your feed, because even better if you do it in incognito mode, because क्या होता है, YouTube starts optimizing your feed based on your watching preference. तुमको जो पसंद वो दिखाएगा ना, तो वो नहीं देखना है तुम्हें. What people are watching वो देखना है. The best metric for that, even to this date, is view count. So go on incognito tab, find the topic you want, and sort by view count. Find high performing videos, and also see if the channel, वो channel का average क्या है. Like for example, अगर Linus की video है, I don't know if you guys, how many of you, MKBHD तो सबको मालूम, everybody knows MKBHD, right? If MKBHD's video has 2 million views, but his channel average itself is 1.5 million views, that video is not that great, because उसका channel average ही होता है. But if there is a channel which has only, say, 150k subscribers and only 100 to 200k views on as an average, and his video has 2 million views, then that means that video has something special. You get my point? You need to find outliers, is what I'm trying to tell you. Referencing जब कर रहे हैं आप, तो don't do referencing on the fact कि मेरे को क्या पसंद आ रहा है इसमें. Again, we are coming to the same thing. Come from the perspective कि audience को क्या पसंद आ रहा है ये सब देखने में. What you like will, whether you like it or not, will creep in.
Yes.
Because that is a part of who you are. When you are making something, at the end of the day, you are the one making it. So even if you don't want to do it, what you like will creep in the content you're making. So don't focus on that, is my point. I'm not saying it's not important, because liking what you do is also very important, and you should also do that. But again, like I'm telling, this entire act of trying to make something is a very thin balance across multiple principles. You have to work with logic, you have to work with emotions, you have to work with liking what you do, you have to work with art, you have to also work with a lot of marketing, communication, and science, right? So it's a very thin balance across multiple domains. The only way you can do that well is by keeping everything in mind, doing it a lot of times, and getting a lot of feedback. And one thing that we are learning, वो ये सब चीजें तो अपन करते रहेंगे. What we are learning in this sessions are the terminology.
Yes.
है ना? ये terminology समझ में आएगी तुमको, तो you will learn it faster. That's it.